Captain Minho Park stood on the bridge of his ship, the Indomitable Spirit. He was 42 years old and had spent 20 years flying through space. His ship was not the biggest or the strongest in the human fleet, but it was his home. The crew of 83 people trusted him with their lives. He trusted them with his. The year was 2847. Humans had been traveling to other worlds for 200 years. They had built colonies on 73 different planets. Earth was still home to most people, but millions now lived among the stars. It was a good time to be alive. The galaxy was mostly at peace. The peace was kept by the Galactic Assembly. This was a group of 47 different alien species. Some of them had been flying through space for thousands of years. The oldest species, the Maluvians, had been in space for 12,000 years. Humans were the youngest members of the Assembly. Other species looked at humans like parents look at small children. Cute, but not very important. Minho did not mind. He knew humans were young compared to the others. But humans learned fast. They worked hard. They made friends. The Assembly had given humans provisional membership 30 years ago. It was a big honor. It meant humans could trade with other species. They could ask for help if they needed it. But they could not vote on big decisions. Not yet. On this day, Minho was drinking coffee and reading reports. His ship was patrolling near the colony world of New Sol. 3 million humans lived there. It was a farming world. The soil was good. The weather was stable. People grew food and shipped it to other colonies. It was peaceful work. Boring work. Minho liked boring. Boring meant nobody was dying. Then the alarm went off. A loud beeping sound filled the bridge. Everyone stopped what they were doing. Lieutenant J. Kim, the weapons officer, checked his screens. He was young, only 28, but very good at his job. His fingers moved quickly over the controls. "Captain, we have an emergency broadcast," Jay said. His voice was tight. "It is coming from Veltheris space. The signal is weak. Something is wrong." Minho put down his coffee. "Play it," the message came through. It was hard to hear. Static crackled and popped. But the words were clear enough. The Veltheris homeworld was under attack. Something called the Kryn Swarm had come. Billions were dead. The Veltheris military was losing. They needed help. They needed it now. Minho felt his stomach tighten. The Veltheris were good people. Well, good aliens. They looked like giant crystals that could walk and talk. Their bodies made musical sounds when they spoke. They were peaceful. They loved art and science. They had been part of the Assembly for 8,000 years. Everyone respected them. Dr. Yuna Lee came onto the bridge. She was the ship's doctor and also studied alien life. She was 35 and brilliant. She had saved many lives, both human and alien. When she heard the message, her face went pale. "The Veltheris," she whispered. "We have to help them." Minho pulled up information on the Kryn Swarm. What he read made his blood run cold. The Kryn were not like other species. They were a hive mind, millions of creatures all sharing one brain. They had appeared 300 years ago and attacked several worlds. The Assembly had fought them and won, but barely. After that battle, the Kryn had disappeared. Everyone thought they were gone forever. Now they were back, and they were attacking the Veltheris. "Send a message to Earth Command," Minho ordered. "Tell them what is happening. Ask for orders." The reply came back in 20 minutes. Earth Command said they were watching the situation. The Galactic Assembly was meeting to discuss what to do. All human ships should stay where they were and wait for orders. Hours passed. More messages came from Veltheris space. Each one was worse than the last. Cities were burning. Billions were dead. The Veltheris fleet was destroyed. The survivors were hiding underground. They would not last long. Then the Galactic Assembly made their decision. They would not fight. The Veltheris homeworld was too far away from other Assembly worlds. Sending fleets would take too long. The Kryn might attack other places if the Assembly engaged them. It was too dangerous. The Assembly would send rescue ships to evacuate survivors, but they would not fight the Kryn. They were abandoning the Veltheris to die. When Minho heard this, he could not believe it. 8,000 years the Veltheris had been part of the Assembly. 8,000 years of friendship and cooperation. And now when they needed help most, the Assembly said no. It was cowardice. It was betrayal. Dr. Yuna Lee came to him with tears in her eyes. She held a data pad. "Captain, I received a personal message. From Ambassador Thurvak." Minho knew Thurvak. 15 years ago, The ambassador had gotten sick during a diplomatic mission. His crystalline body had started to crack. He was dying. Human doctors did not know how to help him. But Una did. She had studied Veltheris biology. She had figured out how to repair the cracks. She saved his life. Thurvak never forgot. He became a good friend to humans. Una played the message. Thurvak's voice came through, musical and sad. Dr. Lee, my friend. If you hear this, I am probably dead. The swarm has come. Our cities fall. Our people die. The assembly has abandoned us. I understand. They must protect their own. But I wanted to tell you goodbye. You saved my life once. I wish I could repay that debt. But I cannot. Please know that I died grateful for your kindness. Tell your people that the Veltheris will always remember humanity's friendship. The message ended. Silence filled the bridge. Every crew member had heard it. Every one of them felt the same anger, the same sadness. Minho stood up. He looked at his crew. These were good people. They had families back on Earth and the colonies. They had lives to live. He had no right to ask them to throw those lives away. But he also knew what humans valued: loyalty, honor, friendship. These were not just words. They were what made humans human. I am going to help the Veltheris, Minho said quietly. The assembly says no. Earth Command says no. But I do not care. Thurvak saved humanity's place in the galaxy 30 years ago. He risked everything for us. Now his people are dying and nobody will help. I cannot accept this. I will not accept this, he looked at each crew member. I am not ordering anyone to come with me. This mission will probably kill us. The Kryn swarm destroyed the Veltheris fleet. Our one small ship cannot make a difference. We will die far from home, but we will die doing what is right. Anyone who wants to leave can take a shuttle to New Sol. I will not judge you. You have families. You have futures. I am asking you to give that up for aliens we barely know. It is not fair, but it is what I must do. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Then Lieutenant J. Kim stood up. I am with you, Captain. The Veltheris need us. Engineer Sora Choi, a practical woman who never wasted words, nodded. My weapons are ready. My engines are ready. Let us go. One by one, every crew member stood. Every single one. 83 people willing to die for strangers. Willing to die because it was right. Dr. Una Lee wiped her eyes. Thank you, she whispered. All of you. Thank you. Minho felt pride fill his chest. This was humanity at its best. Young and stupid, maybe. Reckless, definitely. But loyal. Always loyal. Set course for Veltheris space, he ordered. Maximum speed. And send a message to every human ship in the sector. Tell them what we are doing. Tell them they can join us if they want. We do not force anyone. But if they believe in paying debts, if they believe in standing by friends, then we need them. The message went out. Mio did not know if anyone would answer. He did not know if 1 ship or 100 would come. But he knew humans. He knew what they valued. And he had hope. The indomitable spirit turned and began the journey to Veltheris space. Behind them, all across human territory, other captains read the message. Other crews made their choice. And one by one, ships began to move. They were going to war. They were probably going to die. But they were going together. Because humans never let a favor fade. The responses came faster than Minho had expected. Within 1 hour, 5 human ships confirmed they were coming. Within 3 hours, 20 more. By the time 6 hours had passed, 39 of humanity's 47 military vessels had volunteered. Captains from all over human space said yes. They abandoned their patrols. They left their safe positions. They came to join the indomitable spirit. But it was not just military ships. A cargo captain named Doyen sent a message saying his mining ship had lasers that could cut through asteroids. Maybe they could cut through aliens too. He was coming. A research vessel studying strange plants said they had experimental weapons that had never been tested. They wanted to test them on the Kryn. They were coming too. Even civilian transport ships joined. These were ships that carried people and supplies between colonies. They had no weapons, but their captains said they could ram Kryn vessels if needed. They would do whatever it took. Colony defense stations stripped themselves of ships and weapons. Every human settlement sent something. When the final count came in, Minho could barely believe it. 217 human ships were gathering. It was the largest human fleet ever assembled. Not by government order, not by military command, by choice. Every captain, every crew member knew this was probably suicide. They came anyway. Engineer Sora Choi worked without sleeping. She knew human ships were not built for war with the Kryn. Human technology was good but not great. The Veltheris had energy shields that could stop most weapons. The Karathi had armor so thick it could survive nuclear blasts. The Maluvians had quantum weapons that could destroy entire fleets. Humans had none of these things. What humans had was creativity. Sora called the other engineers on all the gathering ships. They worked together, sharing ideas. Mining lasers were strengthened and aimed differently. They became weapons. Cargo haulers filled their holds with metal rods. They would shoot these rods at high speed like bullets. Research vessels loaded their experimental devices. Nobody knew if they would work, but they would try. One engineer suggested filling cargo containers with explosives and letting them drift in space. The Kryn would think they were debris and ignore them. Then the humans could detonate them when the Kryn got close. It was a trap. A dirty trick. It might work. Lieutenant J. Kim studied everything he could find about the Kryn swarm. The information was old from battles 300 years ago. But it was all they had. He read reports and watched old videos. He talked to historians. He learned how the Kryn fought. The Kryn were not like other species. Each Kryn unit was part of a larger mind. Individual Kryn were not very smart, but together they formed a powerful intelligence. They learned from every battle. They adapted to every weapon. If you shot them with lasers, they grew reflective skin. If you used explosives, they scattered. Fighting the Kryn was like fighting a virus that got stronger every time you attacked it. But Jay found a weakness. The Kryn used a specific frequency to communicate. All the individual units connected through this frequency like a radio signal. If that signal was disrupted, the Kryn would lose coordination. They would become confused. They would stop working together. He brought this information to Dr. Yuna Lee. She thought about it for a long time. Then her eyes lit up. "I can make a jamming device," she said. "Medical scanners use similar frequencies. If I modify them, connect them to the ship's power core, I can create interference. It might disrupt the Kryn hive mind." "Might?" Jay asked. "It has never been tested," Yuna admitted. "It might work. It might do nothing. It might explode and kill everyone on this ship. But it is our best chance." Minho approved the plan. What choice did they have? They were already planning to die. They might as well try everything. The fleet gathered near the edge of human space. 217 ships. Some were sleek military vessels. Some were ugly cargo haulers. Some were small civilian ships barely big enough for 10 people. But they all had one thing in common. They were all going to Veltheris space. They were all going to fight. Minho gave a speech to all the captains. It was not a long speech. He was not good with words. But he spoke from his heart. "We are young," he said. "We are weak. We do not have the best ships or the best weapons. Most of you have never been in a real battle. Neither have I. The Kryn swarm destroyed a civilization that is 8,000 years old. They will probably destroy us too." He paused. Every captain on every ship was listening. "But we are going anyway. Why? Because the Veltheris helped us. Because Ambassador Thurvak risked his career to get us into the assembly. Because when Dr. Lee's team was stranded on a hostile planet, it was Veltheris ships that saved them. Because we remember. We remember kindness. We remember friendship. We do not forget our debts." His voice grew stronger. "The assembly says we should not fight. They say it is too dangerous. They are probably right. But I do not care. I will not abandon people who helped us. I will not let the Veltheris die alone. Even if we lose, even if we all die, the galaxy will know that humans stand by their friends. The galaxy will know that we pay our debts, always." The other captains did not cheer. This was not a time for celebration. But every one of them nodded. They understood. This was bigger than survival. This was about who humans were. This was about what they believed in. The fleet jumped through 3 transit gates. These were ancient structures built by the Maluvians thousands of years ago. They let ships travel vast distances instantly. The journey to Veltheris space took 48 hours. During this time, the crews prepared. Some people wrote letters to their families. They knew they might not come back. They wanted to say goodbye. Others prayed. Humans had many different religions, and they all prayed in different ways. But they all asked for the same thing: courage, strength, a chance to make a difference. Still others trained. They practiced firing weapons. They ran emergency drills. They studied battle tactics. They did everything they could to be ready. But deep down everyone knew the truth. Nothing could truly prepare them for what was coming. Minho recorded a message. It was addressed to Earth's government. In it, he explained everything. Why he disobeyed orders, why he gathered the fleet, why they were going to fight the Kryn. He did not apologize. He did not ask for permission. He simply told them that this was the right thing to do. If he died, he wanted people to understand why. Word of the human fleet spread through the Galactic Assembly. Other species heard that humans were launching an attack on the Kryn. Most thought it was insane. The Kryn had destroyed the Veltheris in days. Humans were much weaker than the Veltheris. This fleet would be slaughtered. It was suicide. Some species admired the humans' courage. Some thought they were foolish. A few felt ashamed. The Assembly had abandoned the Veltheris. But these young humans, barely 200 years in space, were willing to die for them. What did that say about the rest of the galaxy? When the human fleet finally emerged from the last transit gate, they found themselves in Veltheris space. What they saw made everyone fall silent. 37 Veltheris worlds were visible on their screens. Every single one was damaged. Cities burned. Orbital stations were destroyed. Debris floated everywhere. This had been a thriving civilization. Now it was ruins. And there, spreading across the star system like a cancer, was the Kryn swarm. Millions of bioships. They looked like insects mixed with machines. Dark metal shells covered organic bodies. Limbs that could tear through steel. Weapons that grew from living flesh. The swarm moved as one, flowing through space like a school of fish. But these fish could destroy planets. Jay counted the Kryn ships. His voice shook when he reported the number. Captain, sensors show approximately 5 million Kryn units. The main swarm is attacking the last Veltheris stronghold on the homeworld. Smaller groups are spread throughout the system. 5 million. The humans had 217 ships. The math was simple and brutal. The Kryn outnumbered them 23,000 to 1. One human ship for every 23,000 Kryn. Those were not odds. That was execution. Minho looked at his crew. They were scared. He was scared too. But nobody suggested running. Nobody asked to go home. They had come here knowing they would die. Now death was staring them in the face. And they would face it standing up. All ships, Minho said into the fleet-wide channel. Weapons ready. Engines ready. We came here to help the Veltheris. We came here to show the Kryn that this sector belongs to free people. We came here to prove that humans do not abandon their friends. Today we fight. Today we make them remember us. He took a deep breath. Attack formation. Engage the enemy. Show them what humans can do. The human fleet moved forward. 217 ships against 5 million Kryn. It was madness. It was suicide. It was the most human thing anyone had ever done. And as they entered weapons range, every human ship opened fire at once. The battle for Veltheris had begun. The Kryn swarm noticed the human fleet immediately. A section of the swarm, about 200,000 units, broke off from the main attack. They moved to intercept the humans. The bioships accelerated with impossible speed. They did not move like normal ships. They moved like living things, twisting and turning in ways that should not be possible. The humans opened fire first. Lasers cut through space. Missiles streaked forward. Kinetic rounds flew like bullets. The distance closed rapidly. 5,000 kilometers. 3,000. 1,000. Then the Kryn fired back. Weapons that humans had never seen before tore into their fleet. Organic cannons shot projectiles that exploded with acidic fire. Bioelectric beams overloaded ship systems. Physical tendrils reached out and grabbed ships, pulling them close so the Kryn could tear them apart. The human fleet had no shields. Their armor was thin. Ships started dying immediately. The merchant ship New Dawn was hit first. A Kryn biobeam cut through its hull like paper. The ship broke in half. 17 people died in seconds. Their sacrifice was not meaningless. It gave the other ships time to adjust formation. The fleet spread out, creating overlapping fields of fire. Where the Kryn concentrated, multiple human ships could shoot at them from different angles. Lieutenant Jay unleashed every weapon the indomitable spirit had. Missiles struck Kryn ships and detonated. Laser fire burned through bioarmor. Kinetic rounds punched holes through their hulls. But for every Kryn unit destroyed, 2 more took its place. And worse, the swarm was learning. They adapted their movements to avoid missiles. They angled their armor to deflect lasers. The Kryn were getting better at fighting humans with every passing second. Yuna, now, Minho shouted. Activate the jamming field. Dr. Yuna Lee's hands moved across her controls. She had spent 48 hours building this device. She had no idea if it would work. She pressed the activation button and held her breath. The jamming field exploded outward from the indomitable spirit. It was invisible to human eyes, but sensors showed it spreading like a wave. 10,000 kilometers wide. 20,000. 30,000. When it touched the Kryn swarm, something incredible happened. The Kryn stopped moving in coordination. Individual bioships collided with each other. Attack patterns fell apart. Some Kryn units spun in circles. Others drifted without direction. The hive mind was disrupted. For 47 seconds, the swarm was blind, deaf, and stupid. The humans did not waste those 47 seconds. Every ship poured fire into the confused Kryn. Explosions lit up space like fireworks. 73,000 Kryn units were destroyed before the hive mind adapted. The swarm figured out how to filter the jamming frequency. Their coordination returned. But the damage was done. The Kryn had been hurt. They had been surprised. And they were angry. The swarm's full attention turned to the human fleet. More Kryn units broke off from the main attack on the Veltheris homeworld. Soon, 500,000 bioships were converging on the humans. The odds, already terrible, got worse. But humans did not retreat. They kept fighting. What happened next was 18 hours of the most brutal combat the galaxy had seen in centuries. The Kryn had numbers. They had weapons that could tear apart starships. They had a collective intelligence that learned and adapted. But the Kryn had never fought humans before. And humans did not fight like anyone else. The Veltheris fought with elegant formations and coordinated tactics. The Karathi used overwhelming force and honor duels. The Maluvians relied on superior technology and careful planning. Humans improvised. They adapted. They refused to be predictable. Minho's ship lured a group of Kryn into a debris field left from destroyed Veltheris stations. Hidden among the wreckage were explosive mines that Sora had placed earlier. When the Kryn entered the field, Minho detonated every mine at once. The explosions destroyed 200 Kryn ships. Engineer Sora did something even crazier. Her ship's reactor was damaged and failing. Instead of abandoning ship immediately, she overloaded the reactor and aimed her ship at the largest Kryn biocarrier she could see. The ship accelerated to maximum speed. At the last second, Sora ejected in an escape pod. Her ship struck the Kryn carrier and exploded with the force of a small nuclear bomb. The carrier and 300 nearby Kryn units were vaporized. A mining ship captain named Doyun used his drilling laser in a way it was never designed for. He got close to a massive Kryn command organism, a bioship the size of a small moon. The organism's armor was too thick for normal weapons, but Doyun's laser could drill through asteroids. He bored a hole straight through the armor and into the organism's interior. Then he fired explosives into the hole. The command organism died from the inside out. A civilian transport ship had no weapons at all. But when Kryn ships surrounded it, the captain did not surrender. He turned his ship toward the nearest Kryn and activated maximum thrust. The transport ship rammed into the bioship at full speed. Both ships were destroyed, but the captain's sacrifice killed 63 Kryn units that were clustered together. Every human ship fought with desperate creativity. Research vessels deployed experimental weapons that sometimes worked and sometimes exploded. Cargo haulers shot metal containers filled with explosives. Military frigates coordinated attacks that constantly changed patterns, never giving the Kryn a chance to predict their moves. The humans used every trick they could think of. The Kryn swarm had fought many battles. They had destroyed the Veltheris. They had defeated dozens of species, but they had never encountered anything like humans. Humans did not follow logical tactics. They took insane risks. They sacrificed themselves without hesitation. They refused to give up even when defeat was certain. The swarm's collective intelligence struggled to understand. How do you fight an enemy that does not fear death? How do you predict an enemy that acts irrationally? But the Kryn had numbers. For every human trick, there were thousands of Kryn units to overwhelm them. Human ships continued to die. The merchant vessel Lucky Star was torn apart. The military frigate Defender exploded. The research ship Discovery was swarmed and destroyed. Hundreds of humans died. Thousands. The fleet was being ground down despite their heroic efforts. Minho watched his fleet shrink. 78 ships destroyed, so many people dead, and still the Kryn kept coming. He wondered if this was the end. Had they accomplished anything? Would anyone remember? Then something changed. The Kryn swarm began to pull back. Not all of them, but the main force. They retreated toward the edge of the star system. Minho did not understand at first. Were they regrouping? Planning a new attack? Then Jay gave him the answer. Captain, the Kryn have lost too many units. They are retreating to recover. They will come back, but not today. We hurt them. We actually hurt them. Minho could not believe it. 139 human ships remained out of the original 217. 78 ships destroyed, thousands of humans dead. But they had forced the Kryn swarm to retreat. The immediate threat to the Veltheris homeworld was over. The surviving Veltheris were safe. For now. Below on the Veltheris homeworld, 2 billion survivors emerged from their underground shelters. They looked up at their sky. For days that sky had been dark with Kryn bioships. Now it was clear. The swarm was gone. The Veltheris did not understand. How? The assembly had abandoned them. Who fought? Who saved them? A transmission came from one of the human ships. The indomitable spirit. The voice spoke in broken Veltheris, translated poorly by a computer. But the words were clear enough. This is Captain Minho Park of humanity. We came to help. We remember what you did for us. Debts are paid. The Kryn are leaving. You are safe. On the surface, Ambassador Thurvak heard the message. He had survived by hiding in a deep shelter. He thought he would die there. The entire galaxy had abandoned his people. But humans came. Young, weak humans with their small ships. They fought the Kryn swarm. They saved the Veltheris. They paid a debt that the Veltheris had forgotten they were owed. Thurvak's crystalline body resonated with a sound that humans could not hear. It was grief for his dead people. It was gratitude for their saviors. It was respect for these impossible humans who refused to let their friends die alone. In that moment, Thurvak understood something important. Humanity was not just another species. They were something special, something the galaxy had not seen before. In space, Minho sat in his captain's chair. His hands were shaking. He was exhausted. His ship was damaged. His fleet was broken. But they had won. Somehow, impossibly, they had won. Not completely. The Kryn would return. But today, the Veltheris lived. Today, humanity proved something to the galaxy. They proved that loyalty mattered. That friendship mattered. That sometimes the youngest and weakest could accomplish what the oldest and strongest would not even attempt. The battle was over. But its consequences were just beginning. The galaxy was about to learn what it meant when humanity made a promise. They were about to understand that humans never forgot their debts. And they were about to discover that humans, when defending their friends, could shatter worlds. News of the battle spread across the galaxy within 3 days. The story was impossible to suppress. A species barely 200 years in space had launched a fleet against the Kryn swarm. Not just launched it, but fought the swarm to a standstill. The humans had lost 78 ships and thousands of lives. But they had forced the Kryn to retreat. They had saved the Veltheris from extinction. The Galactic Assembly was in chaos. Emergency sessions were called. Debates raged for hours. Some species condemned humanity's reckless action. They said humans had no authority to launch military operations without Assembly approval. They said the humans got lucky. They said it would not work again. If the Kryn returned with greater numbers, the humans would be destroyed. Other species argued differently. They said humans showed more courage than the entire Assembly combined. When everyone else abandoned the Veltheris, humans chose to fight. Young humans. Weak humans. Humans with primitive ships and crude weapons. They did what 47 advanced civilizations refused to do. And they succeeded. Underneath the political debate, something fundamental had changed. The galaxy was looking at humanity with new eyes. They were no longer cute children stumbling through space. They were warriors. They were loyal allies. They were dangerous when protecting their friends. Species throughout the galaxy had to recalculate their understanding of humans. Some felt respect. Some felt fear. Many felt shame. Ambassador Thurvak traveled to the orbit where the human fleet was repairing their ships. He came in a small shuttle alone. When he boarded the indomitable spirit, he could not speak at first. His crystalline body hummed with emotions too complex for simple translation. Finally, he found words. Captain Park, Dr. Lee, all of you. His voice resonated through the ship's speakers. My people are alive because of you. 2 billion Velthera survived. Without your intervention, we would all be dead. The Assembly abandoned us. Our own military failed. But you came. You fought, you bled. Many of you died for us. For aliens you barely knew. Minho did not know what to say. He settled for simplicity. You helped us join the Assembly. You saved Dr. Lee's team years ago. We do not forget debts. Thurvak's body pulsed with light. A simple favor. A political vote. A rescue mission. These were small things to us. But you risked everything to repay them. You died for us. This is not how the galaxy works. Species help each other when it benefits them. They form alliances based on trade and mutual defense. But you came knowing you would probably die. You came because you considered us friends. I do not have words for what this means. Dr. Yuna Lee stepped forward. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep and grief for the dead. Ambassador, you are our friend. We do not abandon friends. It is that simple. Thurvak made a sound like crystal bells ringing. The Veltheris Council has made a decision. Humanity is elevated to full membership in the Galactic Assembly. No more provisional status. You have full voting rights. You may sit on the High Council. You have all privileges that species 8,000 years older possess. This was huge news. It normally took centuries for a species to gain full membership. Humans had done it in 30 years, but Thurvak was not finished. Furthermore, the Veltheris offer you access to our technology, our quantum shields, our faster-than-light communication arrays, our medical advances, technologies that would take you centuries to develop. They are yours. We also swear a blood oath. The Veltheris will stand with humanity, no matter the cost, for as long as both our species exist. If you are attacked, we will defend you. If you need help, we will provide it. This bond cannot be broken by politics or time. It is eternal. The crew of the Indomitable Spirit stood in silence. This was more than they had expected. They came to help friends. They received an alliance that would change humanity's future forever. But the Veltheris were not the only ones paying attention. Within weeks, 3 more species approached humanity with offers. The Karathi, a warrior culture that valued honor above all else, requested a military exchange program. They wanted to learn human tactics. They wanted to train with human soldiers. The Karathi had fought for 10,000 years, but they had never seen anyone fight like humans. The Zenthara, masters of artificial intelligence, proposed a joint research initiative. They were fascinated by how humans adapted so quickly in battle. They wanted to study human creativity and improvisation. They believed that combining human flexibility with Zenthara processing power could create revolutionary new technologies. The Maluvians, an ancient species known for their neutrality, extended an invitation for humans to establish an embassy on their capital world. This was unprecedented. The Maluvians rarely got involved in galactic politics, but they recognized that humans represented something new, something important. They wanted humanity close. These were not empty gestures. These were real alliances with real benefits. Humans were no longer the young species to be tolerated. They were players in galactic politics. They were partners worth having. They were forces to be reckoned with, but not everyone was happy about humanity's rise. The Draxian Empire watched with growing concern. For centuries, the Draxians had been the dominant military power in the Outer Rim. They controlled 17 star systems. Their fleet numbered 600 warships. They answered to no one. Species paid them tribute. Worlds obeyed their commands. The Draxians were used to being feared. Now humans were getting attention. Humans were making alliances. Humans were being praised as heroes. Admiral Corvin, commander of the Draxian Third Fleet, did not like this. He viewed humanity as upstart children who got lucky against the Kryn. He believed they needed to be reminded of their place. Corvin sent a message to Earth. It was officially a congratulations on the victory at Veltheris. But the real message was clear. Humanity had made a dangerous gamble. They got lucky once. If they continued to meddle in galactic affairs, the Draxians would respond. The Draxian Empire had 600 ships. Humanity had 40 military vessels? The humans should be grateful the Draxians allowed them to exist in the Outer Rim. They should not push their luck. When Minho read the message, he did not get angry. He just smiled grimly. Humans had faced extinction-level threats before. They had survived ice ages. They had survived plagues that killed half their population. They had survived world wars that nearly destroyed their planet. They had survived the near collapse of their biosphere. They would not be intimidated by threats from an empire that had never truly been tested, but he kept his thoughts to himself. There was no need to provoke the Draxians. Not yet. Humanity had just fought one war. They needed time to rebuild, time to heal, time to integrate the new technologies the Veltheris had given them. Time would tell if the Draxians were all talk or if they would actually try something. 6 months passed. The galaxy did not forget the Battle of Veltheris. Human ships now patrolled sectors that were once considered too dangerous. Human engineers helped rebuild Veltheris cities. Human doctors worked in hospitals across multiple worlds, saving lives with techniques no one else had thought to try. Human diplomats mediated disputes between ancient rivals, bringing fresh perspectives to old arguments. Humanity had become indispensable. Other species came to depend on them. Not because humans had the best technology, not because they had the biggest fleet, but because humans could be trusted. When they made a promise, they kept it. When they became your friend, they stayed your friend. In a galaxy full of political calculations and shifting alliances, humanity's simple loyalty was revolutionary. But power brings responsibility, and responsibility brings enemies. The Draxians had not forgotten their warning. They watched humanity's growing influence with increasing anger. Admiral Corvin saw human ships in sectors that had once been Draxian territory. He saw species that used to pay tribute to the Draxians now asking humans for help instead. He saw his empire's power fading, and he decided to do something about it. The Draxian attack came without warning. A human colony world called Jericho Station. 70,000 people lived there. Families, children, scientists, farmers, they were defenseless. The Draxian Third Fleet, 85 warships strong, emerged from faster-than-light travel directly above the colony. Orbital bombardment began immediately. Energy weapons rained down from the sky. 3 cities were leveled in minutes. Thousands died before anyone understood what was happening. Then Draxian ground forces landed. They occupied the remaining settlements. They rounded up survivors. They sent a message to Earth. The ultimatum was simple. Humanity would withdraw from all Outer Rim territories. Human ships would cease all military operations. Humans would return to their own small corner of space and stop interfering in galactic affairs. They had 48 hours to comply. If they refused, the 70,000 people on Jericho Station would be executed. All of them. Then the Draxians would attack another human world. And another, until humanity learned its place. Earth's government was paralyzed. A direct confrontation with the Draxian Empire would be catastrophic. The Draxians controlled strategic jump gates. They had 600 warships. Humanity could not win a prolonged war, but if they surrendered, they would lose everything they had gained. All the alliances, all the respect, all the progress. And 70,000 people would still probably die. Admiral Minho Park stood on the bridge of his new flagship. After the Battle of Veltheris, Earth had promoted him. They gave him command of a larger fleet. Now he would need it. The Draxians had made a terrible mistake. They thought humans would surrender. They thought humans would be afraid. They did not understand what they had awakened. But this time humanity did not stand alone. Within hours of the Draxian attack, messages flooded into Earth from across the galaxy. The Veltheris were first. They sent their 7th Fleet, 200 ships equipped with the most advanced weapons in their arsenal. Ambassador Thurvak's message was brief. You stood with us. We stand with you, forever. The Karathi were next. These warriors had been training with human soldiers for 6 months. They had learned to appreciate human tactics. More importantly, they had come to respect human courage. The Karathi sent their elite shock troops and 30 warships. Their message was even simpler. Honor demands we fight beside you. Then came a surprise. The Maluvians, who had not engaged in military action for 2,000 years, sent 20 stealth ships. These vessels were technological marvels, invisible to most sensors. The Maluvians rarely fought, but when they did, they were devastating. Their message explained their decision. Humanity represents something precious in this galaxy. We will not let it be extinguished. Even the Zenthera contributed. They sent advanced AI combat drones and tactical processing systems. Other species sent supplies, intelligence, and offers of support. The message was clear. Attack humanity, and you face not just humans, but everyone humanity had befriended, and humans made friends easily. The combined fleet consisted of 490 vessels. It was the largest multi-species military operation in galactic assembly history. Human ships formed the core. Valtheris cruisers provided heavy firepower. Karathi assault ships prepared for boarding actions. Maluvian stealth vessels would strike from the shadows. It was a fleet designed to send a message. That message was simple. Do not threaten our friends. The fleet had one objective: liberate Jericho Station. Make the Draxians understand that attacking humanity had consequences. Minho did not want to start a war with the Draxian Empire, but he would not let 70,000 humans die, and he would not let the Draxians think they could bully humanity whenever they wanted. The fleet arrived in Jericho System 36 hours after the Draxian ultimatum. Admiral Corvin commanded 85 Draxian warships. He was confident. He had superior numbers over any single species in the incoming fleet. And he believed that alliances always fell apart under pressure. Different species could not coordinate effectively. They had different tactics, different communication systems, different goals. This fleet would be chaos. He would crush them. Corvin had made a critical mistake. He underestimated one thing. Humanity had spent 6 months teaching their allies their tactics. And human tactics were built on 3 principles: flexibility, trust, relentless aggression. These principles worked even better with multiple species than with one. The battle began at dawn on Jericho Station. The local time was 600 hours. The sun was just rising. The combined fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. Corvin's ships detected them immediately and moved to intercept. The Draxians formed a defensive wall between the fleet and the planet. Corvin sent a message: turn back or be destroyed. Minho's response was 4 words: release our people now. Corvin refused. He ordered his ships to open fire. The Draxian fleet was powerful. Their weapons were advanced. Their crews were well-trained. But they had never fought a coordinated multi-species force before. And they had definitely never fought humans and their allies working together. The Valtheris ships moved forward first. Their quantum shields absorbed the initial Draxian barrage. Energy weapons that should have destroyed ships simply dispersed harmlessly against the shields. The Draxians fired again. Same result. Corvin realized his energy weapons were useless. He switched to kinetic weapons and missiles. That was when the Karathi struck. While the Draxians focused on the Valtheris shields, Karathi assault ships accelerated to maximum speed. They closed to melee range. Karathi warriors did not fear close combat. They embraced it. Boarding pods launched. Magnetic grapples latched onto Draxian hulls. Within minutes, Karathi warriors were inside 12 Draxian ships fighting the crews hand-to-hand. The Draxians panicked. They had to defend against boarding actions while also fighting the main fleet. Their formation broke apart. That was exactly what Minho wanted. He sent in the human ships. Fast frigates darted through the gaps in the Draxian lines. They targeted communication arrays and sensor stations. Without good communication, the Draxian fleet started making mistakes. Then the Maluvian stealth ships revealed themselves. They had been in the system for hours, invisible and waiting. They were positioned perfectly behind the Draxian fleet. When they opened fire, they targeted the Draxian command ships. 3 command vessels were disabled in the first 30 seconds. Suddenly, the Draxian fleet had no central coordination. The battle that Admiral Corvin expected to last days was decided in 4 hours. The Draxian fleet was not destroyed, but it was beaten. 23 ships were disabled. 16 more were captured. The rest retreated. Corvin's own flagship was boarded by a joint Karathi human team. Lieutenant J led the human side. The fighting was brutal but quick. Corvin was captured alive and brought before Minho. The Draxian admiral was defiant at first. He threatened Minho. He said the Draxian Empire would send more fleets. They would crush humanity and all their allies. Minho listened patiently. Then he spoke quietly. Admiral, you made a mistake. You thought we were weak because we are young. You thought our allies would abandon us under pressure. You were wrong on both counts. You will return to your empire. You will tell them what happened here. You will tell them that attacking humanity means facing everyone humanity calls friend. And you will tell them that if they attack us again, we will not stop at Jericho Station. We will come to your worlds. We will liberate every planet you oppress. We will end your empire. Corvin saw the truth in Minho's eyes. This was not a bluff. Humanity would do exactly what they threatened, and with their allies they could probably succeed. The Draxian Empire was powerful, but not powerful enough to fight the Veltheris, Karathi, Maluvians, Zenthara, and humanity all at once. Corvin nodded slowly. The message would be delivered. Jericho Station was liberated. The Draxian occupation forces surrendered without a fight when they saw their fleet defeated. The 70,000 hostages were freed. Casualties were minimal. Only 300 people had died in the initial bombardment. It was a tragedy, but it could have been so much worse. In the aftermath, the Draxian Empire sued for peace. The terms were harsh. The Draxians would pay reparations to Jericho Station. They would withdraw from all contested territories. They would acknowledge humanity's right to operate freely in the Outer Rim. They would open diplomatic relations and promise not to attack human worlds again. The Draxians accepted every term. They had no choice. But more importantly, the battle sent a message to every species in the galaxy. Humanity did not stand alone. Attack one human world, and you faced not just humanity, but everyone humanity had befriended. And humanity made friends easily because humanity never forgot a debt. They never abandoned an ally. They never broke a promise. In a galaxy where alliances shifted like sand, humanity's loyalty was like bedrock. 5 years passed. The galaxy was different now. Human influence extended across 50 star systems. Earth's population swelled to 14 billion. Another 20 billion humans lived on colony worlds. Human culture spread through the assembly. Human music played in alien cities. Human art hung in alien museums. Human philosophy was studied by species 10,000 years older. But humans remained humble. They remembered when they were weak. They remembered when they stood alone. They remembered the species that helped them rise. The Veltheris got priority access to human agricultural technology. The Karathi trained side by side with human soldiers. The Maluvians received human cultural ambassadors. The Zenthara collaborated on dozens of research projects. Humanity paid its debts always. Fleet Admiral Minho Park stood on the bridge of humanity's first Dreadnought-class warship. The ship was named Eternal Gratitude. The name was chosen carefully. It was a reminder, a promise. Humanity would never forget those who helped them, and they would never stop helping those who needed them. Dr. Yuna Lee served as humanity's chief ambassador to the Galactic Assembly. She worked tirelessly to mediate conflicts and forge new alliances. Her reputation as someone who could find common ground between the most bitter enemies was legendary. Lieutenant J, now Captain J, commanded the 1st Joint Human Veltheris Squadron. His tactical innovations were studied throughout the galaxy. Engineer Sora ran the largest shipyard in the Outer Rim, building vessels for a dozen different species. Ambassador Thurvak lived on Earth now. He had a habitat specially built for him near the Pacific Ocean. He taught at the Human-Alien Relations Academy, training the next generation of diplomats and officers. He told them stories of the day humanity came to save his people. He told them what it meant when a species cared more about honor than survival. The lesson was always the same.